to say you gotta know somebody, oh know somebody to get somewhere these days. To say you know that's alright, yeah that's alright, cause you know that's alright with me. Yeah, you know that's alright, yeah that's alright, cause you know that's alright.
Here's what you know, the house, if you gotta pay a bank and you pay them off, all you really care about is what you're gonna net at the end of the day. So when I ever deal with people, I say, look, I pay all the closing costs, I'll handle, the transfer, the commission, if there's commission involved. I say, look, you're gonna get 20,000, not a penny less. And that alone is just, that people love it. Even if it's a lesser amount, they wanna know what they're getting, they wanna know what that number is. So we bought a house subject to a mortgage. So we bought it for 80,000. There's a $60,000 mortgage that's already on the property. And we said, we're not gonna pay that off, but we'll take your house and give you 20 grand and we'll take over your payments.
Oh, that's where the little.
So now we got a first mortgage, and I have a private investor that's saying, look, I'll lend on that house, but I don't want that $60,000 behind my, I don't want a $90,000 loan behind a 60. I'd rather lend you 150 and be in first position.
How'd you get around the accelerated payment clause?
Yeah, most mortgages have a clause, paragraph 19, I think it is, that says that if you sell a property, that they have the right to call the loan due.
For people who don't know,
Yeah, they call it this is, we basically, you remember, does everybody remember the ASAP, you used to hear the, assume a mortgage, we used to assume it, well, on the HUD-1 sheet, when you go to a settlement, it used to say loans assumed by buyer. Well, they don't have assumable loans anymore. You can't, 1986 or 87, I think was the last one, or VA, Veterans Administration, were the last ones to do it. And, if it's an institutional loan, it's not assumable. But if you notice, they've taken the word assumable off the HUD-1, now they put existing loans taken subject to. And subject to means I will, you're buying the house subject to, and everybody here has bought, if you've ever bought a house, you bought it subject to, you just don't know. Because you bought a house subject to red coal mining rights, or you bought it subject to existing easements of record from the electric company, or if you bought a rental property, you bought it subject to an existing lease with these 3 tenants, right? So subject to just means you're buying it and you're not exactly getting clear title. There's a flaw, or there's something that you should know about. In this case, we're talking about a mortgage. So you're taking over payments for somebody. We basically come out to, there's a couple ways we do it. Number one, we just come out to the bank and have the person that's selling us the house write a letter to the bank saying, these guys are going to be responsible for collecting the rents and making my mortgage payments. From here on, please send all correspondence to them, and we shovel it off to the bank. We get an authorization or a power of attorney to deal on their behalf on that loan. And I've had loans in place for probably all 8 or 9 years of me investing that I bought the first year, and still took over somebody's loan and still have money.
Do the banks forego the accelerated payment clause?
The clause basically says they have the right to call the loan due. It's not against the law to take over somebody's loan. It's not even a breach of contract. What it is it's a trigger of a clause in a contract. It's not even they're violating a contract. They're saying, if you sell the property, this bank has the right to call the loan due.
So this line, they're just not doing it.
As long as the loan is current. As long as the loan's current and the payments are made. And when you do that, you understand there's a lot of disclosures, a lot of disclaimers that you have to. You're pretty much, their credit is on the line. So essentially, they're selling you their asset, but they still have the liability. I mean, it's a direct liability to them, because if you don't make the payments, it bangs up their credit and it goes directly against them. And of course, they can come foreclosing the house on you too.
Yeah, but in many cases, they're not paying the mortgage anyway. So the worst you can do is continue the bad credit that they're already building for themselves. But if you do pay it, you're not only taking over the house, but you're helping the person whose mortgage that house is in. So there's a lot of people out there right now who are open to this idea. They don't understand it. It's a gray area that scares them a little bit, but you've got to know enough about it to make them feel comfortable.
We sell it as we sell it to sellers in the sense that say, like, geez, you're 3 months behind on your payments now. I'll buy your house, I'll pay all the closing costs, and I'll bring your loan current, and I'll pay those 3 payments. You live there, but I'll pay for you. I'll pay for your time that you live there, even though you're the one that lived there. I'll pay those 3 months that you should have paid. I'll bring it current, and I'll make your payments each and every single month. Now I don't make a contract with the bank that I'm gonna do it, I make a contract with them that I'm gonna do it. So I tell them, I'll make your payments each and every month, and it's gonna go as a positive on your credit. So now, your loan that was 90 days late is now current, and then next month, current, next month, current, next month, current. So every time I make those payments, it shows up as a positive. We just had a lady on a house, she said, I don't want that loan in my name, and she get the closing, and there was miscommunication where the guy who brought us the deal, said, oh yeah, we'll take it over subject to the loan, and she said, I don't know what you're talking about. So now we're at the closing, and we had to kind of sue the situation. He said, look, we can close and pay it off, we just can't close today, because we don't have enough money today to close it and pay off your loan, but we will have enough money to close it, give us 2 weeks, and we'll just go get your money. And, or we can close it today, give you your check, and I signed an agreement with her that said I'd pay it off within 3 months. So now all of a sudden, she sees the positive impact on her credit, and we told her about that. And she calls us back and she says, you know what, I was talking to a friend of mine, I told her what we were doing with the mortgage, how you were making my payments, and she did that on one of her houses, and it worked out really well. So is there any way you can keep that there? Like, and I said, well, no, we have a private investor that wants first position, we're gonna have to pay you off. She goes, are you sure, can you just keep it, you know, so this person was actually asked, this is the first time I had somebody that talked to a friend and recommended it, that was a weird.
But if we pay off her mortgage, I mean, her mortgage is now paid off, but it doesn't really help her credit, I wouldn't think. I mean, she's already done a lot of damage, and someone looking at that report years later might assume that the house was just sold or foreclosed on or whatever. But by us paying it, all of a sudden, it looks completely different. It looks on her credit like she's gotten her act together and started to pay. So positive things come out of it, and yet we got the house simply by taking over whatever she owed on.
So the bank just has the right to call the loan in, but before you would just take it subject to,
They have the
like you
right-
said, sometimes the banks don't know who serves it. You just start making the payments, they just
Yeah,
accept the payments, but now the bank.
We direct all the statements to our address,
Okay.
care of us, and we make the payments usually through an automated system or whatever. And then we give them information that says that we're authorized party to talk to them and get payoff figures and get reinstatement figures and call us if there's any issues with the taxes or, you know, whatever. So we do all that, but the bank has the right to exercise a clause, that paragraph in the mortgage, because the person sold the house. It says, if you sell the house, we have the right to call the loan due. And then they look at their whole portfolio and say, oh geez, we got 12% of them going bad.
So what happens if
We
they do
don't want
call?
13, you know, let's just.
What happens
So
if they
I've
did
never
call
had
the
any-
loan? They
I've never
don't?
had any calls. I had
Okay.
one going on that was I had one going on that it was 42 months behind on payments when I took over that house. 42 months behind. And when I used to, and now typically when I first got into business, I would reinstate the entire loan, get it current, and then make the payments. And then I figured out, well, geez, you can do a partial reinstatement. You don't have to fully reinstate the loan. You can make a deal with the bank. So in this case, I told the bank, I'll give you 25 grand as a partial reinstatement, good faith, and that'll make payments to you each and every month, like clockwork. And then their agreement was, okay, well, we'll just modify the loan, and we'll modify it. Well, if you've heard anything about modifications these days, people applying for them left and right, and the banks go through put them through the ringer, and then say no, because. So I had one situation, and this is actually on my primary residence, where they're saying, you gotta pay us 60 grand in order to bring the loan current. So, you know, if I can modify the loan with them, great. Worst case scenario, I have to give them 60 grand to bring the loan current.
That's all that can transpire, they can call the loan, you have to come up with the money, or?
Yeah, I can pay them off, or I can reinstate it.
That's
So
what I
it's
meant.
not like, you know, if they call it due, it's not like, oh my gosh, you know, it's all over. No, if they call it due, you go find the money, you go refinance, you go get a private investor, you know, I've never seen a situation where the mortgage was, like my agreement with them was to pay 25 grand the day I bought the house, and then 1,300 a month, whatever it was. So we did that for like 5 years, and now they're saying, well, geez, you know, you need to modify the loan. And they're saying, well, you can't, you know, I made the mistake of applying to modify it to this government